Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Wednesday, February 8th, 2023. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. White folks are doing white folks do in Mississippi. They have passed a bill in the House to create a new court district in part of the capital city of Jackson, Mississippi, with judges who will be appointed by the state rather than elected. In addition, they would also expand the police force in that area. And wait till we show you the map. It's largely where white people live in a majority black city. We will talk with the mayor, Chokwe Lumumba, as well as state representative about what these white Republicans are trying to do to take control of this majority black city in Mississippi. Ooh, Tucker Carlson got his panties in a wad over the diversity of President Biden's judicial picks. But you notice he said nothing at all about all of the white judges that Donald Trump picked. Speaking of discrimination, back and forth in the House Financial Services Committee, where a white Republican is upset with Texas Congressman Al Green because Green wants to fight discrimination in the banks. Yep. Also, we'll talk about last night's State of the Union speech by President Biden with New York Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. We'll talk about a variety of issues with her. Bethune-Cookman officially announces their new head coach. Ben Crump now has a law school named after him. And in tonight's Tech Talk segment, an app that is helping equip young people to close the racial wealth gap. Folks, there's a lot to cover. It is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Republicans love to talk about local control, big government, except when they have power and they don't like it when black people have power. Yesterday, the Mississippi House of Representatives voted 76-38 to pass a bill creating a new court system within the Capitol Complex Improvement District and expanding the district. Now, where's the Capitol Complex located in Mississippi? In Jackson, Mississippi, a majority black city. So they want to create a separate court system and expand this police force in there. Now, keep in mind, this same police force was involved in the shooting death of Jalen Lewis, who was killed by this force in October. His family is still waiting for answers. We've had them on the show. So last night, Republican lawmakers, they passed this bill following hours of debate on the House floor. House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Trey Lamar, who's white, Republican, sponsored the bill. He says the new court system would help deal with the backlog of criminal cases. The bill would establish a separate court system with two judges appointed, not elected, but appointed by the Mississippi Supreme Court Chief Justice. Joining us now is Chokwe Lumumba. He is the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, and State Representative Darrell Porter Jr. as well. All right, Mayor, let's start it with this. You posted a map on your Instagram page that shows clearly what's going on here. So in this map, the blue portion is where white folks live in Jackson, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
So the blue portion is where this court system and the police force will be expanded, right?
That is also correct. Yes, sir.
So the issue here is not a concern about crime. The issue here is not a concern about crime in Jackson and a backlog of cases. No, what this is about is creating a separate legal system for the largely white residents of Jackson, Mississippi, and saying the hell with the green. That's where all the black folks are. So the blue are the white folks, the green are the black folks, right?
This is correct. This is correct.
So they want to create a separate legal system for white Jacksonians.
Yes, and not only what they hide behind, Jackson being the blackest city in the nation, having the highest black population by percentage in our country at this point. They hide behind the notion that within the district it is approximately 55% black. But what is true is that it is the most densely populated white portion of our city. It is where the majority of the white residents in the city live. And so, it is also the area that has one of the lowest crime rates in the city. And so the notion that this is an effort of public safety, an effort to assist the efforts of keeping the city safe, it doesn't meet the smell test. Why would you create a district for the issue or for the concern of public safety in what is likely the safest part of the city, and also arm the district with control over civil cases and chancery court matters, which have nothing to do with crime whatsoever? In addition, providing this military force that has no accountability to the residents, and as you said, judges to oversee these cases that are not elected, not accountable to the people. And so it's colonization, it's plantation politics, it's racism. Let's call a spade a spade. Lastly, what I would say, my brother, is speaking with you and a number of other outlets talking about the issues over control of our water system, the inequity of the requests that we have made. I've received a lot of backlash from Republicans across this state, saying that I've given Mississippi a black eye, that I've talked poorly about Mississippi. Well, in the words of former coach Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were. They have proven time and time again that this is who they are. And when my mother would tell me, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Representative Porter, see, here's what I find to be so interesting about this. So they say, oh, the backlog of cases. Show me the stats. How many? What's the backlog? Please, by all means, show me. So the mayor says this area has the lowest crime rate in the whole city. So now you want to create a whole separate system, and you want to create a separate civil system? How is that now an issue? No, this is about this is going back to Jim Crow days, about creating white enclaves, being able to carve out a white enclave in Jackson, Mississippi, to say to the white residents, we got you. You don't have to worry about those Negroes. You don't have to go near them. We will take care of you in our own little area.
Right, Roland, and the mayor's right. This is a power grab. This is a blatantly racist move by the Republican Party here. Again, if this bill was so much about crime, then why do you have a separate court system that addresses civil matters? Why is the Chancery Court being involved in this bill? I proposed an amendment yesterday, and let's talk about the taxation without representation part. These people are not allowed. The people of Hinds County are not allowed to vote for these judges, as you've already noted. They're being appointed by the Chief Justice. So let's talk about taxation without representation. How they're going to be taking 12% of the sales tax and putting it into this capital, the CCID, the Capitol Complex. And I proposed an amendment yesterday to wipe that out and just have the state of Mississippi to front the bill, since the Republican Party is so interested in trying to protect Jackson and trying to cut down or curtail the crime of Jackson. Then the citizens of Jackson who don't get a voice in electing these prosecutors or these judges shouldn't be on the hook for paying for this Capitol complex.
And I want to cover that next. I got to go to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about who's paying for this. Is it the state or is it residents of Jackson? You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Most people think that these television shows that tell stories about who we are as black men, and then they paint these monolithic portraits of us. They think that they're being painted by white people. And I gotta tell you, there are a whole bunch of black folk that are the creators, the head writers, the directors of all of these shows, and that are still painting us as monoliths. The people don't really want to have this conversation.
No, they don't. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
It's Kim Whitley.
Yo, what's up? This your boy Ice Cube.
Hey, yo, Peace World. What's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
We continue our conversation regarding the white Republican power grab in Jackson, Mississippi, with Mayor Chokwe Lumumba and State Representative Darrell Porter. Mayor, who's paying for this? Who would fund these judges? Who would fund this police force?
It comes from a tax diversion of about 12% that the residents of Jackson will be forced to pay. So,
wait a minute. So to pay for this, state's not going to pay for it. They're going to take money from Jackson residents to pay for the district, but those same residents have no control over who the judges are and no control over the police department, which means that right now, the police department in Jackson reports to you and the city council, correct?
Correct.
So their tax money is being taken to fund something that they have no say-so about.
Absolutely. And I think it's noteworthy to mention that the Jackson Police Department has made several requests over time for funding to help their policing efforts. We've made requests of the state for money for alternative or violence interruption programming. So cure violence models and those things have been rejected. And so it's not as if the city of Jackson has not put forth what we believe to be the solutions to our challenges. What we've been met with is a deaf ear or an indifference, a deliberate indifference to all of the things that we ask for, whether we're talking about issues of public safety or whether we're talking about issues of infrastructure. And instead of actually assisting us in the way in which we need to be assisted, they look at how they seize power. I think it's worth noting that not only are we looking at 1020, which was the House bill that we're talking about now that talks about this Capitol complex. We also have 2889, which was a Senate bill looking to take over our water system, a water system that you have well documented on your show, that we've been fighting for resources. The state has denied us year after year, after generation, actually. And the moment we get $800 million from the federal government, all of a sudden it becomes attractive. All of a sudden it becomes something that they want to seize. Before that, we fought off the threat of a state takeover of our school system, a school system which has a budget similar to the city's budget, in which, you know, it becomes attractive to them to give contracts for who cuts the grass in our schools. We are simultaneously fighting a battle over our airport that the city of Jackson invested in and the state of Mississippi wants to control. And so this is not something new. This is who they are. Like I said, you know, they are who we thought they were. And so, you know, I am as diplomatic as my options are. I come to the table prepared to have diplomatic discussions, but you can't come in my house and then start negotiating over my furniture. And so we want to make certain that it is clear that this is round one of a 12-round fight, and we're not going to lay down by any stretch as it pertains to this fight and the other ones that I mentioned.
Representative Porter, the thing here that I think people really, really, really need to understand when we talk about this here, Jackson, Mississippi is the largest city in the state. Jackson, Mississippi supplies more sales tax revenue and more tax revenue than anybody else in the state. So really what you have is you have these white Republican lawmakers who don't like the fact that you got this majority black city that is the dominant city in the state of Mississippi, and they are trying to figure out how can we take as much power and money away from African Americans in Jackson and that we as white Republicans can control.
And I would agree with you, Roland. And I think one of the representatives on the floor yesterday noted that ever since the first election of the first black mayor of the city of Jackson, they've been requesting funding. They've noticed the problems. They've brought the problems to the table, asked for funding to help curtail those problems, and every mayor since then has been denied funding to help curtail those issues. And, you know, as the mayor already pointed to now, as soon as they get some money from the federal government, well, now here comes the state that wants to come in.
Wait a minute, hold up, Representative. Let's not speed over that. Money that the black folks in Jackson went to the Democratic administration in the White House, went to the black head of the EPA and made the case to get. Governor Tate Reeves did not make the request. The white lawmakers did not. It was the black mayor, Chokwe Lumumba, and the black Congressman Benny Thompson, and so many other African Americans who made the request. And now the white Republicans in Mississippi want to say, oh, no. We now want the money that y'all black folks went and got.
You are exactly right. Now, if that is not a blatant display of disrespect and a power grab, I don't know what is.
See, Mayor, you're right. We can be diplomatic and we can try to be nice about it. But what this is fundamentally clear. This is white Republican racism, and they do not like the fact that you've got black folks who are Democrat, and they want to subjugate y'all to the control of the state using their power, and they want to sit here, create this white enclave, take resources from black people. And look, I've been getting tweets and emails from people saying the same white Republicans have been denying funding requests for Jackson State for various needs, but handing that money out to the white universities in Mississippi.
Absolutely. To take it further, not only have they been neglecting the needs of a city like Jackson and like I said, a willful disregard for our interests. What upset them the most when we saw this torrent of bills that we're now looking at, which are all in an effort to take over, to be a power grab of the city of Jackson, that came following the $800 million. They were perfectly fine with the city of Jackson being suffocated, perfectly fine with denying request after request of the city of Jackson to be met with resources to deal and contend with our issues. When we were able, with agreement with the federal government, in order to have money directly allocated to the city of Jackson for these things that we've been asking the state for decades, that upset them. And that is where there's a bill introduced each and every day that attacks Jackson. Each and every day, I can go through the issues of what they're trying to do, which are a direct reflection of an effort to take a shot at Jackson. And that's only because we were able to secure the resources. I did not have Tate Reeves with me when I went to Washington and met with Senate appropriation staff. Delbert Hoseman, our lieutenant governor, I want to make sure that he gets a part of this, wasn't there. In fact, when I met with him about our needs, met with him about the concerns, he was trying to convince me of a state takeover. And what he said to me, he said, "What do you think? You think President Biden is going to write you a check?" I do, and he did. And now that is what has upset them, is because we have been self-determined enough in order to shake the trees, in order to make certain that we looked under every rock in order to get the resources our Jackson residents so justly deserve. And that is what has angered them more than anything so far.
Representative Porter, what do you want from African Americans nationwide? I sent a text last night to a variety of civil rights leaders, pastors, and others, and I said, our folks in Jackson need our help. I said, there needs to be a clear signal sent to these white Republicans in Mississippi that you are not going to practice racism in the 21st century in 2023. The bill was passed in the House. It now goes to the Senate. What is it looking like there? Are y'all planning any sort of mass demonstration? What are you looking to do to try to raise awareness, let people know what's going on here? Because as long as they think, hey, folks aren't paying attention, they're going to go ahead and pass this, and black folks in Jackson will be screwed.
Yeah, and Roland, I want to appreciate you and thank you for bringing awareness to this. And I think that's one of the important things that we can do is bring awareness to what's going on in the state of Mississippi, in our state legislature. Of course, they have a supermajority, so we're outnumbered. We're vastly outnumbered, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to fight. We're not just going to lay down and take this. We're going to fight, and we're going to fight for what's right, and bringing awareness to let other people see what we're doing and how we're fighting and how they're trying to get over on us is essential, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. So we see exactly what's going on there. Again, Mayor, what do you want from folks who are not there? How are you also rallying the folks there in Jackson, but also the other African Americans in Mississippi, your state, which has the largest concentration of African Americans of any state in America?
Well, I want to echo the sentiments of Representative Porter. We thank you and your outlet and outlets like this that allow us to get our story out. I want to thank Representative Porter for the job that he and the Black Caucus did yesterday, fighting to the late hours in the night, making certain that they made our concerns known. We have members of the community that have come together, done rallies, and we intend to do more, so that we make certain that this is a very well-known issue amongst our residents and beyond, and we continue to fight. But there's another group that I want to speak to. I want to speak to those contractors that want to meet with me, these majority firms that want to meet with me every day about opportunities to work different contracts and different capital improvements in our city. If you can enjoy this black wealth, you better step up and support this black city. And that's, I want to say that in a very direct way, because it is important that people understand that you can't come into a city of Jackson and profit exclusively and feel that you have no responsibility to the success, to the self-determined nature of that community. And so I want to say that publicly and on your program tonight.
Well, I absolutely agree. And they need to, again, let their voices be heard. And I dare say this, the flag in Mississippi was changed when those black ball players said we ain't playing underneath it. I would hope that the black ball players at these other universities in Mississippi will see what's going on and will use their power and say, you dare mess with Jackson, you messing with us, we're not gonna take the field. This is where black folks have got to learn how to use our leverage and our influence and power to be able to affect change. And so that's where also I think spreading the word is critically important. So I thank both of you, the Mayor, Representative Porter. Again, let us know what happens next. Anything we can do, we'll get the word out. I'll be sure to make this a part of my iHeartRadio Black Information Network commentaries. We'll push it out on social media as well, because people need to understand what these racists are doing in Mississippi. And this is a direct attack on black leadership and black people in Mississippi, and they're in Jackson.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Martin.
Appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks, we come back. I'm going to talk to my panel about this here. We're also going to show you the absolute blatant racism of Tucker Carlson. If you have never understood how much of a white supremacist and a white nationalist Tucker Carlson is, wait till we show you the video where he is attacking President Biden's federal judicial nominees for being too verse. But Tucker didn't have his hood on when Trump appointed almost 90% white judges. Right. And then folks wonder why I wrote the book White Fear. Speaking of that, get your copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Target. You can download it on Audible. Support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can now watch us on Amazon News as well. So if you're on the Amazon Fire Stick, go to Amazon News. You can see the Black Star Network, our 24-hour streaming channel, right there with the other networks. And we're the only Black news information network in America. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, a relationship that we have to have. We're often afraid of it and don't like to talk about it. That's right, we're talking about our relationship with money. And here's the thing, our relationship with money oftentimes determines whether we have it or not.
The truth is you cannot change what you will not acknowledge.
Balancing your relationship with your pocketbook. That's next on A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, here at Black Star Network.
Hi, y'all doing? It's your favorite funny girl, Amanda Seals.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, let's bring my panel in right now to break down what is going on here. Look, I keep telling y'all, this is why you got to watch this show. You're not going to get this information anywhere else. This is also another of the reasons why we are the only black-owned media show nominated for the NAACP Image Award. Don't forget, you got until February 10th. That's right, just 2 days to vote for us. Go to vote.naacpimageawards.net. You can go to the category Outstanding News Special, scroll down, look for Roland Martin Unfiltered, Black Votes Matter, Election Night 2022. And then vote for us. You can only use one email per vote. So if you got more than one email, use them all. And so please vote for us. Again, deadline is 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's bring this. This is the first time we've been nominated for an Image Award. I won 4 at TV One. No, leave the graphic up. I won 4 at TV One, but this is the first time we've been leave the graphic up, y'all. Thank you. I won 4 at TV One. I think I probably was nominated 8 or 9 times there. But it's taken us 4 years to finally get an Image Award nomination for Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so again, deadline is February 10th, 9 p.m. And so y'all vote. We can actually make this thing happen. All right, folks. Let's talk about this issue in Jackson and Mississippi with our panel. Joining me right now is Robert Patillo. Of course, Robert hosts the show on WAOK. And so really intellectually militant. That's what you are, Robert. I see you giving folks hell on Twitter. I see it. All right. Again, folks, host of People, Passion, Politics on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. Eugene Craig, CEO, X Factor Media, Inc. And also Crystal Knight, Democratic strategist. Glad to have all three of you here. The thing here, Robert, is just is a fundamental undeniable. These are white Republicans who want to control black people.
Absolutely. We see this in many municipalities where you have a black city inside of a white Republican state. For years here in Georgia, we saw the Georgia state legislature try to take over the Atlanta airport because they understood the type of economic engine that was both for the city of Atlanta and for Clayton and Fulton County, and they wanted that to be distributed throughout the state. Look at a city like Baltimore, where you have been told Wes Moore's election, a Republican governor, and the battles that went on between the city for funding versus the state. What we have to understand is that the first day of political science class, they teach you that politics is the question of who gets what when. And what these white Republican conservatives want is they want all the economic opportunities and benefits that come from having the driving economic engine of a majority black municipality and economic center, but they don't want to actually help those residents. They don't want to do anything that actually benefits them. They don't want, anytime that they have a resource, they're trying to figure out how they can stick their hand into the cookie jar to get other things out first. And it's absolutely outstanding to have a mayor and to have a city council that are willing to stand up and fight back and push back and actually defend the people of Jackson, Mississippi, because we've seen throughout the years that city is always going through trials, tribulations, and controversies, and you need the type of black leadership that we're seeing from the mayor there in order to be able to fight back and stand up.
The thing here, and again, it is absolutely crazy, Crystal, to see them trying to take the money, trying to create this separate court system, this separate police system. They are trying to create an enclave to say, hey, white people, we got y'all. Forget all the rest of these black people. Come into this area here. We will take care of you, your fellow white citizens of Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you just stated, that this is troubling. And it was troubling as the mayor and the state representative was speaking about how, you know, as soon as black people get congregated or situated in a particular area, white elected officials or white people who have a little bit of power move the goalpost. And so that's exactly what we see right now happening around the city of Jackson, is that, you know, white people want to feel safe. And so they're asking for an increased amount of police protection. They're asking for additional funding for that particular area. But as the mayor stated, the black residents in those areas have been asking for additional funding to support a number of issues that are taking place across the city, and their calls have gone unanswered. But as soon as white folks are ready to have more police so that they can feel safe, that's absolutely what the state is attempting to do without the information or the approval of the black residents in a majority black city. And so that's something that is deeply troubling, and that I hope that, you know, the mayor and the state representatives who, you know, govern that particular area have a plan to fight back and challenge this. I think the other thing that I want to say that's also deeply troubling is that the court system that they're attempting to set up will be appointed and not voted in by the residents in the district that it will serve. And that is also something that everyone should be alarmed about and deeply troubled by.
The thing here, Eugene, and I'm going to take people back, and this is why you got to understand history, and this is why these white Republicans don't want people to actually learn black history, which is American history, why they can't stand critical race theory, because they don't want to deal with the issue of race. Mississippi had a constitutional convention in 1890 because the white racists there were sick and tired of black people being elected to statewide office, being elected to Congress, and being elected to the United States Senate. So what did they do? They convened it and they changed the Constitution. And you had a sole Negro, Isaiah T. Montgomery, who voted with them to strip black people of the right to vote. Since 1890, There's not been a single African American elected statewide in Mississippi, which has the largest population of black people in America. Some upwards of 38% of Mississippi is African American. And what they want to do is to completely keep black people on plantations, slavery without shackles. They want to control the destiny of black people. They do not like black self-determination. And what they cannot stand, they're fine with these little small rural towns in Mississippi that don't have a lot of money and resources. What's killing them is you've got a black mayor, a black city council, black residents overseeing the largest city, and as the mayor said it, they want the airport, they want the water system, they want everything in Jackson because they do not want black people to have power in Mississippi.
Look, you're 100% correct. And I think, there are, draconian, arcane laws, particularly when it comes to statewide races, that you have to win every, majority of the counties, every single county. I think it's absolutely preposterous, right? But we do see this backlash that happens when black folk do try to take power. I believe what blackest trying to formulate their own city government and break off from the city of Atlanta. See what's going on in Mississippi. See what DeSantis has been doing in Florida. So it's power concedes nothing without a fight, and folk got to be prepared to fight.
I keep laying this out, and again, and folks, I want y'all to understand, when we talk about this whole issue of race, white fear, and power, they cannot stand it when we have this. Tucker Carlson, Fox News, perfect example. This is Tucker on Fox going off on the diverse federal judges appointed by President Joe Biden in his first 2 years in office.
So the point of diversity, equity, and inclusion, as you often heard, is to wind up with a leadership class that, quote, looks like America. Now, we think you should hire on the basis of merit, but that's kind of an appealing idea. The people who run the country should look like the country. That's not what it's about at all, because no administration has ever looked less like America, just by the numbers, than the Biden administration. It's not about making the administration look like America. It's about discriminating against certain classes of people who don't vote for them, period. And now it's provable. Jeremy Carl at the Claremont Institute just ran the numbers, and this is in the judiciary. He found that out of 97 federal judges confirmed under Joe Biden, total number of white men, 5. 22 are black women. So this is race-based hiring. It's illegal, but it's also not about looking like America. It's about punishing people. And it's also, incidentally, or maybe not incidentally, producing nominees for federal judges.
So what I want you to understand, oh my God, Biden has only named 5 white men as judges. Would you like to go through history, Tucker, and see how many black people were overlooked for federal judicial positions? Constance Baker Motley, first black female federal judge. So we're saying that black women were not qualified before? Oh, maybe it's because they were not allowed to attend law schools. Ah, that could be it. See, I need everybody to understand, what the Tuckers of the world don't like is they don't like it when white men don't dominate. So Tucker goes, oh, this is just so unfair that he's discriminating because he named 22 black women. That's interesting. Because when you look at Trump, when you look at his administration, and y'all notice Tucker didn't mention the race of all those white men appointed by them. 1 in 6 judges. Go to my iPad, please. I want you to pull it. I want y'all to see this here. Because, see, you need to understand, I'm going to show you what Tucker Carlson and Fox News will never show you because they don't have the guts to show you. About 1 in 6 of the judges appointed by Trump were black, Hispanic, Asian, or another race of ethnicity. That means 84% of all of the federal judges appointed by Trump were white. Ain't that interesting? Now, mind you, that's fewer folks than George W. Bush. Now go back. You see right here, that's slightly below the proportion of non-white judges appointed by the last Republican president, George W. Bush, and well below the share appointed by the last 3 Democratic presidents. As is the case with women judges, Democratic presidents have generally been more likely than their GOP counterparts to appoint racial or ethnic minorities to the bench. So let's look at the numbers right here. Ain't that something? Donald Trump appointed 226 federal judges. 189 of them were white. Wow. Not just 9 black, just 9 Hispanic, 13 Asian, other is 6. But look at that. Obama, 320 judges, 205 white, 58 black. George W. Bush, 322 judges, 264 white, 24 black. Bill Clinton, 367 judges, 277 white, 61 black. But look at Ronald Reagan, 358 federal judges, 335 white, 7 black, lowest out of anybody. 14 Hispanic, 3rd lowest out of anybody. 2 Asian, tied for 2nd lowest. Other, 0. Reagan and George H.W. Bush had the lowest numbers of total of non-white judges. Actually, this is the top 3 of the total non-white judges. George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, and Donald Trump. That means, and first of all, let me go, and George W. Bush was 1 better than Jimmy Carter. So out of 7 presidents, the 3 with the least non-white federal judges are all Republican. Tucker Carlson mentioned none of that. None of that. We come back. I'm going to play for you more of what Tucker had to say. Because I need y'all to understand what the strategy is. The strategy is going, white people, they're taking your country from you. Rise up against them. That is what is fueling what is happening in Mississippi. That is what fueled January 6th. That is what is fueling white fear in America. And I need y'all to understand that. And you can listen to people go, oh my God, you're being the victim. No, they do not like the fact that Black and Latino and Asian and Native American people are assuming power in this country. This is why y'all can't be playing games when these fools are running for office, because they are trying to hold on to power as long as they can. I'll be right back. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Next on Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. Listen to this. Women of color are starting 90% of the businesses in this country. That's the good news. The bad news, as a rule, We're not making nearly as much as everyone else. But joining us on the next Get Wealthy episode is Betty Hines. She's a business strategist, and she's showing women how to elevate other women.
I don't like to say this openly, but we're getting better at it. Women struggle with collaborating with each other. And for that reason, one of the things that I demonstrate in the sessions that I have is that you can go further together if you collaborate.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Vivian Green.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, let's continue this here. So press play on Tucker. So I need y'all to hear this, folks. Go ahead.
And the numbers, and this is in the judiciary. He found that out of 97 federal judges confirmed under Joe Biden, total number of white men, 5. 22 are black women. So this is race-based hiring. It's illegal, but it's also not about looking like America. It's about punishing people. And it's also incidentally, or maybe not incidentally, producing nominees for federal judgeships who know nothing about the Constitution.
Isn't that interesting? Now, I know some of you may say, okay, all right, that's one thing here. But Eugene, what I'm trying to get people to understand here is what the Tuckers of the world, he's telling his audience, the Fox News audience, #1 on cable news, he's telling them they're taking over. Biden is stealing from you. Biden doesn't want your white sons to have these jobs. Now, again, Tucker Carlson never said a word, not a single word about all of the white men Donald Trump appointed. Never said a word that, hey, are blacks being underrepresented in judicial appointments from Donald Trump? No, didn't say any of that. Because they don't care about black people. Fox News and Tucker Carlson has gone full white nationalist, and they are the aggrieved network. And I have been saying since 2009, we are living in the age of what I call white minority resistance. Even though white people make up a majority of America, they are being driven by Fox News and conservative talk radio and these digital operations as well, that white people are losing everything to those other people.
Look, the thing is this. I mean, we know Tucker Carlson isn't about, white supremacists. He was one of the folk that were pushing, the whole replacement theory. He's been stroking these flames forever. It's what keeps him on air. It's what keeps his viewers there. And it's what should be expected from him. He's one of those folk that, for him, the wider the better. Of course, he wasn't going to call out the misrepresentation or the underrepresentation of black folk and Hispanic folk being appointed to judgeships during the Trump era, and even probably back to the Bush era, right? But, God forbid, the scales are more balanced under the Biden administration. And, one more time, he, just uses it now to just stroke his flames of replacement theory.
See, right there on that issue right there, Crystal, is what we have to deal with in terms of what they're saying. So when they drove the white replacement, this whole great replacement theory, it's, they're replacing us. No, y'all just stop having kids. And what angers the Tucker Carlsons is that, and let's understand, Crystal, Tucker Carlson is an abysmal failure, okay? And you want to see white privilege. He had a TV show on CNN, canceled. MSNBC, canceled. PBS, canceled. It was on the weekend on Fox News. Bill O'Reilly gets run out because of sexual harassment. Tucker takes over his slot. He goes full bore white nationalism. Ratings go sky high. So of all people who want to talk about talent and what's fair, he really should shut the hell up. because he embodies, one, a silver spoon being born in his mouth, a trust fund baby. He epitomizes white privilege, but what he is doing is he is simply, and this ain't dog whistling, they are now yelling with megaphones, hey, white people, they're taking everything from us. You must rise up and stop this.
Absolutely. I think you're right in that white men get the option to fail up. You mentioned all of the shows that were not successful on the different networks that were unsuccessful with having him there, and yet Fox News gives him the platform to be who he probably secretly already was, this white nationalist pushing this great replacement theory, which ultimately for him means the more we create space, the wider we allow the table to become, it really means less for me and mine. It means less for white men who think and look exactly like me. And I agree that there aren't any more dog whistles from Tucker Carlson. Those are it's straight talk. It is talking directly to the base of people in this country who believe that dangerous rhetoric. And it's white men who are whining about what they do not have, when ultimately we know that this country was built with white men in mind in all of the power structures of our country. And so I always find it unique that you have people like Tucker Carlson who continue to complain about the country becoming browner, diversity being increased in a number of different areas, because they ultimately see it as a threat to the foundation of their structure in this country, which is white nationalism.
Here's the deal, Robert. I love when little Tucker goes, oh, these people are not qualified. 9 of Trump's judicial nominees were rated unqualified by the American Bar Association. 9 of them. But here's what's interesting. Go to my iPad, please, Anthony. Right here. None of Donald Trump's 53 confirmed appeals court judges were black. Not a single one. Quote, that makes Donald Trump the first president since Richard Nixon to go a full first term without selecting a black nominee for a federal appeals court. In Tucker's world, well, clearly, there are no black people qualified to be on the federal appeals court.
Well, Roland, what's more concerning, and this is going to be jarring to Tucker's audience if they see this at some point in time, is that Tucker Carlson is a racist. He's not a white supremacist. He's not a white nationalist. Tucker Carlson's from San Francisco. He comes from, his full name is Tucker Swanson Carlson, a friend of mine. He's from the Swanson chicken broth family. That's where his family gets their money from. And so, as you said, he's been through talk radio, been through cable news on various networks. He had Morning Tucker before Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski took over that time slot as a very middle-of-the-road to progressive television show. The concerning part for me is that this message found an audience, and found an audience that dominates cable news ratings. The fact that he doesn't believe these things and understands that he can simply repeat them and make millions of dollars, the same way that we've seen grifter after grifter on the Republican side of the aisle start picking up these talking points. The My Pillow salesman started becoming a white nationalist and made millions of dollars off it. Donald Trump incorporated white nationalism and rolled that into the White House. We have an entrenched group of white people in this country who are so fearful of becoming a minority group, who are so fearful of black domination. David Duke was talking about this back in the 1980s when he talked about the replacement numbers, that white people were not having enough children to replace themselves, let alone maintain their majority, and that will lead to conflict going forward. As long as these people see this as being a racialized battle, a zero-sum game, that every time that a black person or brown person receives something is automatically stolen from you, this is your birthright, this is your the spoils of your land, then we're going to continue to see this increased level of violence and hatred and rage on the part of white people in this country. Something has to be done to tamp down the levels of anger and violence among white people, because you're creating this controversium of lechers that are simply profiting off of this white rage and white fear, and what they don't understand is at some point the monster gets out. You're no longer able to control them. This goes from simply being talking points on a television show to actually trying to fight back against a counterinsurgency that has weapons, that has supplies, that has bug-out bags, and they're ready to get away.
But Robert, you're not going to be tamping it down because the reality is they make money from it. And they know that. This is why you had those racists who attacked the power grid in Baltimore. This is why you have these racists attacked in the country. This is why the FBI director says that white domestic terrorism is the biggest threat to this country. And so they are fueling this hatred. They love talking about, oh, y'all are playing the victim. Oh, you're race hustlers, when in fact, they are simply stoking white fear. That's why I wrote the book, why I said the changing America is making white folks lose their minds. That's what Tucker and them are doing, because this is about money. It is about power. Mississippi, they want to take over that water system. They want that $800 million from the federal government. They don't want black folks actually being able to control it. And then understand the whole attack on DEI and multiculturalism and everything. They want to stop everything dealing with trying to change this country for the better in corporate America, in our schools, in every single system, because they are saying, damn it, we're losing control. They're taking over. And I keep warning black people, this was never gonna end with Trump out. Black people, these folks are serious. When we come back, I'm gonna show you what happened on Capitol Hill today. Well, they said, stop talking about racism in the financial services industry. It doesn't exist. Yeah, wait till we show you next on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. An hour of living history with Dr. Richard Mariba Kelsey, thinker, builder, author, and one of the most important and impactful elders in the African American community. He reflects on his full and rich life and shares his incomparable wisdom about our past, present, and future.
African genius is saying that my uncle was a genius, my brother was a genius, my neighbor was a genius. I think we ought to drill that in ourselves and move ahead rather than believing that I got it.
That's next on the Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hey, I'm Antonique Smith.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, so when we talk about this notion of white fear, and what often happens is they want to say, oh, y'all are playing the victim. Why can't you just do like everyone else and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps? But they don't want to deal with systemic racism. In fact, they deny it even exists. Mike Pence did so in the campaign. Oh, doesn't believe in it. Senator Tim Scott, oh no. I don't believe systemic racism exists, when in fact it does. And understand, when Trump was elected, one of the very first bills that Republicans passed in the House was getting rid of an Obama-era rule that dealt with discrimination in auto financing. Today, Republicans now control the House. There was a hearing called Revitalizing Banking the 21st Century Subcommittee on Financial Institutions and Monetary Policies. During this hearing, Republicans just openly said, enough! We are sick of y'all talking about racism in financial services. Congressman Al Green of Texas.
Here's something that was inspired by Ms. Beatty. Without objection. Thank you. Inspired by Ms. Beatty, and I'm so grateful to her. She's been a wonderful chairperson when she had the mantle. The Securities and Exchange Atonement Act, which requires insurers of securities to carry out a racial equity audit every 2 years regarding their diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as direct or indirect ties to slavery. The next would be my Promoting Diversity and Inclusion bill, Diversity and Inclusion in Banking Act, requiring regulators to include diversity in their assessment of depository institutions on the Uniform Financial Rating System or comparable rating system. Mr. Chairman, if I may have a unanimous consent on one last bill, it is a unanimous consent request.
Yes, the gentleman's time has expired, but real quickly.
Thank you, sir. The Housing Fairness Act, which mandates that HUD conduct a nationwide testing program to direct and document housing discrimination.
Yes, without objection.
Thank you for your kindness.
Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Norman, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My good friend Al Green, I like, but I hope each one of you can fire back and kick back on some of these allegations to bring up slavery, to bring up not getting loans because of your color. I sat on the bank board for 20 years. Credit scores apply to everybody. You're in a competitive business. You have stockholders to answer to. This constant drumbeat is really getting tiresome to hear them day in, day out talk about discrimination. We'll fight, you know, the regulations, his bills, because it makes no sense.
The gentleman called my name. The gentleman yielded 10 seconds.
I will not. It's my time.
Now, he goes, oh, I'm tired of hearing about this here. That's interesting. Go to my iPad. The Committee for Better Banks did a study. It says racial bias runs deep at America's largest banks. Keep in mind, during the financial crisis, the housing crisis, we discovered how black folks were targeted with subprime loans. It is undeniable, y'all. It is undeniable about the racism and discrimination that exists in these banks. And so, Representative of South Carolina, I sat on a bank and these things are based upon credit score. You don't think there's racism within the credit scoring industry? Folks, what we are looking at here, and I just need y'all to understand, is this is the type of denial that white Republicans are all about. And so what they can't stand is they can't stand when Democrats and black people are demanding this to be fixed, because what they want to say is, why can't y'all just ignore this stuff? Why can't y'all just move along? Why can't y'all just accept that things are getting well? In their minds, it doesn't even exist. I did a show the other day, PBD podcast, and the host of his Patrick Bet David, an Armenian American. And what was interesting is, you know, he was talking about, how he moved here and how he did all of these different things, and he was complaining or whatever, and he kept talking about how, you're a victim, and why do you have to focus on the negative in this country? Here's some of how that went.
27 out of top 30 cities in America in crime ran by Democrats. Why?
First, I will tell you. First of all, it's where African Americans are living. So let's bring up Chicago in particular. What you have had in Chicago is you've had some of the greatest racial segregation, not in 20 years, not in 30 years, but literally in 100 plus years.
Led by Democrats.
No, here's the deal though. Okay, I will show you how. Mississippi has the largest percentage of black people in America, run by Republicans, broke as hell. Explain that. Explain me the highest. Tell me when you have. No, hold on. Wait.
Don't spin
I'm not
chain.
spinning.
No, don't
No. What I'm
Let's
showing
stay
you.
on topic.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
Let's stay on topic.
We're
the
on
topic is crime 27 out of 30, not economic.
Now, let me show you what happened there. So when I say it, Patrick wants to focus on crime in these areas where you have Democratic mayors. I mentioned to him the condition of black people in Republican-led states. Oh, let's stay on topic. Well, if you are saying that Democratic policies create crime and haven't fixed it in these areas, what you're saying is Republicans have an answer. They don't. Here's more of our conversation.
It's a different story.
No, it's not.
But I agree with you that we need to get the financial situation.
No. And you're making the mistake.
You went to Mississippi. No, you're making the mistake.
No, here's the mistake you're making.
27 out of 30.
Here's the mistake you're making. When you say crime, I just obliterated a black conservative in my show on this whole issue. When you say crime, you have to then say, okay, what creates crime? No, what creates crime? What creates crime?
When people are not doing well financially.
What else?
Your surrounding environment. Who you're around.
No, what else?
Pick up habits.
What else?
Bad policies.
No. What else? See, you're jumping to policies.
But it is bad policies. Wait a minute. If I lead a company, Roland, if I run a company and I'm the CEO of the company, if the company improves or doesn't improve, it's based on my policies. I'm the head running the company, the department. If it doesn't improve, it's because of me.
So let me lay it out to you again.
Go for it.
When you talk about what is the underpinning of crime, John Hope Bryant, founder of Operation Hope, this is what he said. He said, show me a community where you've seen a riot with a credit score of 700 or higher. The reality is when you talk about crime in this country, you're talking about economics, you're talking about education, you're talking about housing, you're talking about health. Mm-hmm. Show me areas where you do not have high crime. I'm going to show you areas that don't have the same, aren't as compacted. That's first. What you have is when you talk about crime in places, you then look at what are the numbers of people there, what are the pockets there, what are those communities, and how did those communities, how were they created literally not over 20, 30 years, but literally over 50, 75, 100 years. Now.
So why am I unpacking that? Because this is what Republicans want to do today, especially white Republicans. They want to deny how we got here and then want you to believe that all these issues have evaporated when in fact, Eugene, they are still here. And this is the shell game they play, and they get the white folks to go, see, that's right, y'all victims when it's right there. Racism, discrimination in housing appraisals. Racism there when it comes to handing out loans. Racial bias when it comes to the major banks. In their minds, none of these things actually are happening. Y'all are just making this stuff up. Eugene?
But the thing is this, it's not made up. It's actual fact. You have actual factual evidence supporting the argument. You have actual, historical evidence supporting the argument. You have actual federal policy that had to be overturned. You had actual state policy that had to be overturned. You had actual local policy that had to be overturned or struck down. I mean, so when folk like this guy, because I saw when you shared the initial clip on Twitter or whatnot, when folk like this guy, come and make those arguments, and then especially when they, make the argument in comparison to Americans to immigrants and whatnot, or other groups, or Black Americans to immigrants and other groups. I mean, these guys are so misguided and so intellectually dishonest and so devoid of fact. I mean, to some degree, you got to engage them because you got to actually present the argument and have the actual discussion. So people, the audience walks away knowing the truth. But I mean, otherwise, it's why do we engage him? Because I mean, he went in with a preconceived notion that was devoid of fact, right? He wanted to talk about crime, but then wanted to talk about the underlying basis of crime.
Because his whole deal is, this is what he kept saying. Black people keep voting for Democrats for 59 years, and your condition hasn't changed. Why do you keep voting for them? And I said, broke-ass white people being broke as hell in West Virginia and in Mississippi and Alabama and Tennessee and Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina and Arkansas, and they ass is still broke, still sick. I said, but you ain't asking that question.
That part.
And then my point is, when I said, so if you're telling me that Republican policies are going to improve the condition of black people, I said, by all means, please show me where in all of these red states, where there are a lot of black people, where the condition of black folks are an oasis of love and prosperity compared to other places. I said, they're not. But see, they don't want to accept that. And so what we're dealing with here are individuals who, again, who want to keep driving this thing that, oh, we're making this up. And then it's like, oh, you're a victim. You're a victim. None of us are victims when we are actually stating facts about what's actually happening in the country. They live in an America that's in their mind exists. We actually live in real America. We come back, we'll continue the conversation, join with a new panelist as well. And I'm unpacking this for all y'all because this is why y'all need the information. You must be armed. Eugene just said something that's important. He said, why you have to go on. I have people hit me, Roland, I wish you never went on. No. You gotta go on. There's a reason Tucker is scared to call me. Sean Hannity is scared to call me. Laura Ingraham is scared to call me. Kennedy is scared to call me. They're all scared to call me because they don't want somebody black who actually knows how to read and who is always armed with the facts because they want to keep their audience dumb and dumber. They don't want them to know the reality of what's happening in America. And that's why you gotta support black-owned media, because we create the counterbalance to what they're doing. And that's why your checks and your money orders and your money matters. I'm telling y'all, white billionaires are funding the Daily Caller, the Daily Wire, the Daily Signal, and all of these conservative media outlets. We cannot lose the information war. Check and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Most people think that these television shows that tell stories about who we are as black men, and then they paint these monolithic portraits of us. They think that they're being painted by white people. And I gotta tell you, there are a whole bunch of black folk that are the creators, the head writers, the directors of all of these shows, and that are still painting us as monoliths. The people don't really want to have this conversation.
No, they don't. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Amber Stevens-West from The Carmichael Show.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. One of the reasons, I just want people to understand this here. One of the reasons why you don't see us talk a lot about entertainment and stuff on this show, because we're inundated with entertainment in the black community. I mean, they got us laughing ourselves to death. We watching sitcoms, we're watching all this sort of stuff. What we're not getting is this type of information on a regular basis. That's why we do what we do. Because if that's what you want, if y'all want to hear about what the hell Offset and all the other people, backstage fights, if you want to hear whatever the hell stupid shit has happened on Zeus, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. I told somebody I got no problem never having any of, if I had to lose clicks and views because we don't cover that kind of stuff, I got no problem with that. Because we as black people are literally being fed so much trash on a regular basis, and we're not being fed any real news and information that's literally impacting our lives every single day. The things that we're talking about right now are having a direct impact on your education, on your economics, and on your health. But folks don't want you to know that, and so they want you to be so caught up in the latest thing. Hey, you know what? I love Beyonce, she's from Houston, but I'm not tripping on getting tickets to see Beyonce perform because you know what? If you don't address the issue of finances, hell, you can't afford it anyway. I want to bring in our new panel, Tamia Booker, founder and managing director, T. Booker Strategies. We're still joined by Eugene Craig, Robert Patillo. This is a perfect example here, Tamia. When I was on that PBD podcast, we were talking about racism and home appraisals. Patrick is like, oh, these things don't exist. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? The Biden administration actually pulled the data, some 47 million appraisals, which actually showed, this is the New York Times story right here, widespread racial bias found in home appraisals. Researchers found evidence of a persistent practice that gives higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color. Now, what happens? Your home gets devalued, you get a lower rate, you sell it, that means your profit is actually less. That's less money you have to invest to say, to buy stocks, send your kids to college. Well, that's the history of black people. Our homes have always been lesser than whites, and so when you go back, we have not been able to create generational wealth because we're passing down fewer dollars than white Americans. But oh no, we're crying victimhood because this is actually happening to black people.
Yes, and I think there was a study, it may have been during the Obama administration, it said that black families took home about $8 worth of wealth in comparison to white families who actually had money to pass down. And the denial here is purposely done so they don't have to actually act, right? They don't have to actually put any policies into place legislatively, as we saw with Congressman Green in that exchange, that is all a concerted effort. It's all systemic. And the continuation of denial of what we have been through as a people, what we have seen documented, what we have seen with housing, we have seen real life stories of this happening to black people when they've had their homes appraised, where they've had white people opposed. We saw those articles last year where they had white people posed as the owners of the home. Values went up over hundreds of thousands of dollars. And these discriminatory acts have to stop. And so we have to hold our leaders accountable. I'm glad to see the Biden administration doing something about this. But the Republicans can no longer continue to deny this. This is happening, and we have to do something about it. And I'm glad that at least on the Democratic side, we're doing something in the House.
Look, it's real clear here, Robert. Analyzing the millions of appraisals by using census tracts as a proxy for neighborhoods and comparing communities with nearly identical housing stock, two researchers found that the results showed a clear correlation. The higher the proportion of white residents in each community, the higher the appraised value of individual homes. This is what we deal with. Yet you have folks like Patrick Bet-David, others, oh, y'all are race hustlers. You're race pimps. Y'all keep talking about race. Guess what? You get rid of racism, hell, we have something else to discuss.
Well, it's interesting on this point because, particularly of him being Armenian, I find this being kind of an insane conversation with this idea of the victimhood mentality, because Armenia and Azerbaijan have been in a pitched battle for the better part of a century since the downfall of the Ottoman Empire in 1920 and after the Young Turk Revolution over a disputed region called Nagorno-Karabakh, where it's a semi-autonomous region which is wholly located inside of Azerbaijan, and they've been doing border skirmishes for the last several years. A couple hundred people die a year during this battle. But those Armenians are currently fighting against the Azerbaijanis who are being funded by the Turks and the Erdogan regime, because the Armenians are still mad at the Turks for the Armenian genocide during World War I, when the Ottoman Empire took a bunch of Armenians and dropped them off in a desert, and about 2 million of them died. Imagine us going to the Armenians and saying, well, why do you have this victim mentality against the Ottomans? That was 100 years ago. How are you still mad about something like that? Your people aren't still being oppressed. What are you upset about? Why don't you pick yourself up by your own bootstraps, make peace with Azerbaijan, give up the territorial gains of Nagorno-Karabakh, and just move on with your life? It's an ahistorical conceptualization of the way that policy and racial interactions happen. We're the only group on earth that are simply told to forget that history happened, pretend that the world was invented 5 minutes ago, pretend that nothing that led to right now is the reason for the things that happen right now. And in French cooking, there's a concept called terroir, which is the flavor of the earth. This is why you can't call bubbly champagne that's not made in the Champagne region of France champagne. You can't call something not made in the Cognac region cognac. But at the end of the day, it comes from the idea that what is in the soil influences what the flavor of the final product is. Well, if you look at the conditions of Black communities, you have to look at the soil itself before you look at what is coming out of it. So if you want to look at crime, if you want to look at education, if you want to look at problems in those communities, well, you have to look at what is being put in there. If you see a lack of infrastructure, a lack of transportation, a lack of housing, a lack of educational opportunities, lack of job opportunities, then of course you're going to have a negative outcome. So if people can understand it when it comes to cognac and champagne, you damn sure should be able to understand it when it comes to the Black community.
But see, what the strategy is try to negate any and everything that is real, Eugene. And one of the things that Patrick tried to do was, oh, well, you succeeded. I was like, oh, here we go with the how you did. And I said, Patrick, you're trying to have a micro conversation when I'm describing a macro conversation. I said, which is what you don't want to deal with. And the fact of the matter is, in this country, and again, for all of these folks, him talking about him being an immigrant, and I'm sitting here going, dude, you get to do something that I can't do. You can actually pass for white.
That part.
You can pass for white. And see, well, these people, what I love about these other people is that they don't understand how literally in America, the entire apparatus, and let me say this again. Let me say this again to people who understand this here. The entire American apparatus was completely against Black people. Federal, state, county, city, school board, neighborhood, banks, corporate America, federal government. Black people were paying into a system that literally hated them. No other group of people, not the Japanese who were in internment camps, not the Jewish folks, not Italians, not the Poles. There's no other group of people that had the entire country and the system completely set against them. That is reality, Eugene, and it didn't get fixed because of the Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, and Fair Housing Act.
Oh.
Tamia, go ahead. Comment on that, please, Tamia.
Absolutely. When you were saying that, I was thinking about the book I read, The Color of Law, and it detailed housing segregation and discrimination and how it was completely legal to discriminate against us in every facet when it came to how we lived and how our homes were in places that were near bad air quality, right? Like near train tracks, near factories. All of that was a concerted effort to keep us down. So when you say that, yes, it has always been that way. And so when you hear these comments from other people about how we need to pull ourselves up, this has been essentially legal since we were slaves, right? And when we weren't, it was still in the laws for us to barely make it out. And so this, like I said before, this complete denial to keep us down, even now, when you're talking about credit scores and you're talking about crime. You were saying earlier, what makes crime? And the first thing in my head was poverty, right? People are trying to make a better life for themselves. And we have had a system that has been against us since the beginning of time, since our ancestors were brought here. And so whenever there's an effort for us to try to pull ourselves out, whether it's on the federal level, the local level, the state level, there's always some resistance and pushback. Just like our trauma has been passed down, a lot of that racism, bigotry, hatred has been passed down on the other side. And so we have to keep continuing to fight and advocate for ourselves on that end, because this discrimination has been passed down.
Indeed. And so the reason we exist is because we're going to keep pressing this issue. Again, teaching people, getting them to understand what is real. Because if we don't, even some of us will begin to believe the BS of a Tucker Carlson. We'll begin to buy into the BS of a Patrick Bet-David. If we allow that to happen, and that simply cannot be allowed. And so for anybody who also wants to say, oh my goodness, y'all are victims, nah, black people are victors. Because ain't no way in hell anybody else could have withstood the hell that we had to deal with and still be standing. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
54th NAACP Image Awards is airing live on February 25th, honoring outstanding performances in film, television, theater, music, and literature. But this year, Roland Martin Unfiltered is nominated for Outstanding News or Information Series or Special. To vote, head to NAACPImageAwards.net, scroll down to Outstanding News/Information Series, select the category. You have to click on hashtag Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Votes Matter Election Night Coverage. To submit your vote, you will need an email. Only one vote allowed per email. Voting ends on February 10th at 9 p.m. Vote today.
What's up, y'all? I'm Will Packer.
I'm Chrisette Michelle.
Hi, I'm Chaley Rose, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Eternity Hinton has been missing from her Gulfport, Mississippi home since August 6 of 2022. The 17-year-old is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 250 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. She's known to wear a variety of wigs. Anyone with information about Eternity Hinton should call the Harrison County, Mississippi Sheriff's Office at 228-865-7060, 228-865-7060. Georgia black volunteers passing out water at the 2020 Albany, Georgia voting site have been cleared of all wrongdoing. The Georgia State Election Board said Tuesday that black volunteers who gave food and water to early voters in the 2020 election broke no laws. No shit. Sarah Webster initially accused members affiliated with Black Voters Matter of violating election rules prohibiting campaigning within 150 feet of a polling place. The woman also alleged she felt threatened by the group's actions of passing out water, playing hip-hop music, and talking with volunteers. Boy, that white fragility. The Georgia Voting Board said Sarah Webster, who filed the complaints, could potentially face charges for bringing a gun into a polling place. Let's have that happen. Pennsylvania Democrats have taken back control of the state house. The 3 Pennsylvania Democrats won state house special elections on Tuesday night. Democrat Joe McAndrew defeated Republican Clay Walker. Democrat Abigail Salisbury defeated Republican Robert Pagane, and Democrat Matthew Gergley defeated Republican Don Nevels. In November, Democrats held a temporary 102-101 majority in the chamber for the first time in more than a decade after the death of a Democratic state representative, Anthony DeLuca. However, after the resignations of Democrats Summer Lee and Austin Davis, Lee, of course, was elected to Congress. The GOP took the majority in December. Last night's victories give Democrat a stronger position to block GOP-led initiatives. It also offers Joanna McClinton, who Democrats nominated as the first Pennsylvania woman Speaker of the House in November, a pathway back to become Speaker, which she lost after Republicans took back control. Currently, Democrat Pennsylvania Representative Mark Rossi is operating as Speaker after he won the role in the Republican engineered deal. A Bell County, Texas jury finds former Temple Police Department officer Carmen DeCruz not guilty of killing an unarmed black man. DeCruz was on trial for second-degree manslaughter in the fatal shooting of Michael Dean. He was trying to pull Dean over for speeding in 2019. DeCruz said he has no intention of resuming a career in law enforcement. He is now preparing for a civil lawsuit filed by Dean's family. The College of Law at St. Thomas University in Miami, Florida, is honoring civil rights attorney Ben Crump after today they named their law school after him. St. Thomas University, Benjamin L. Crump College of Law, with the first law school in the country named after a practicing black attorney. Crump accepted the honor during today's dedication ceremony.
President Armstrong, Herman Rossamato, Father Pat, and to everybody at St. Thomas, thank you for investing in to the future of young lawyers yet unborn to say that we can make a better America, a better world, a world where all of our children have an equal opportunity at life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And to Amir Locke family, his father Andre Locke is here. Please give him a round of applause. I want you to know, when you invest in this great institution, the St. Thomas University Ben Crump College of Law, what you're investing in is the opportunity to be part of a spark of light, a spark that will ignite the change that will help make the law be an institution, an instrument for good, not a weapon for evil. We have to make the law matter for all of us, the least of us. If the law doesn't protect the least of us, then it doesn't protect any of us. And we together, brothers and sisters, have to make it equal justice under the law.
Will Smith, who was in Miami shooting Bad Boys 4, he also spoke.
I just wanted to come out and support. Ben has been an absolutely spectacular friend and guide, and that's why it was important for me to be here with him today. There are very, very few people in the world with a heart like this. So it is my deepest honor and my deepest pleasure to be here to support and to show some love, and congratulations on this historic honor.
A number of families that Ben Crump is representing were there today. Crump chose St. Thomas University in his College of Law because it's one of the country's most diverse law schools in the United States. Last night, President Biden gave his State of the Union address. And on Tuesday, what often happens is he has a luncheon. The president has a luncheon with various television anchors. I participated. I was invited 3 times by President Trump to these luncheons, several times by President Obama. And I inquired to the Biden administration about this year. They said, oh, yeah, they were actually having one. I said, well, where was the invitation? Considering we're the only black news and information network in the country, and we do more black news and information, live news every single day than anybody else, including the Griot, Essence, Black Enterprise, Ebony, Urban One, any other black-owned media outlet. So they told me, oh no, we're going to have black-owned media at the luncheon, but they didn't say exactly who they invited. So we got an invite today for black journalists to meet with Biden cabinet members and other senior officials Friday to discuss post-State of the Union. And so I asked them a question. I said, I'm very curious. Has President Biden had a luncheon or a meeting or a roundtable with a group of black journalists since he's been in office, with black-owned media? Has Vice President Harris? In fact, has President Biden even sat down to do a one-on-one with a black-owned media outlet? I'm still waiting for an answer, but I think the answer is no. Here's why I'm raising that issue, Robert. Because this administration, Biden, he's going to need black folks if he wants to get reelected. And I don't know how you go 2 years or 3 years and you don't sit down with black journalists as the president. The reason I criticize the White House for us getting a lack of an invite is because we deserve face time with the president. I get cabinet members, I get senior officials, but it's different when we get to question the president directly. And this White House, and I'm speaking to the communications director, I'm speaking to Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, I'm speaking to all of them over there. They need to understand that black journalists and black-owned media deserves the same level of respect as white mainstream media.
You want to hear something very ironic? On this day in 1944, Harry S. McAlpin became the first African-American journalist to attend a White House press briefing. And President FDR said to him, good to see you over there, Harry. And it's interesting to see that here we are, 80 years later, and we're still having the same fights for access, the same fights in order to determine whether or not we can ask the direct questions of the administration. I saw that they did not have a problem talking about African-American issues in passing during the State of the Union, but I think all of us would like to hear a more fleshed out plan on what exactly is going to happen to the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, in addition to the Tyree Nichols duty to intervene bill that Sheila Jackson Lee will be introducing that was announced at the funeral last week. They were fine with sending the vice president there for photo ops during the funeral. They should be fine with answering hard questions, particularly when it comes to the decriminalization of marijuana, when it comes to the reduction in sentencing, when it comes to federal infrastructure plans for that $1.7 trillion and how it will affect the black community. What are they going to do about the still remaining school-to-prison pipeline that exists in America? I have a lot of questions for the White House I would love to have direct answers to. And the same way that the Ukrainian president can saunter or over here and meet with the president directly, ask for billions of dollars, and then get it. There's no reason for African Americans to have to fight harder than that to get access to the president, particularly when it's going to be this time in 2024 when the president's going to be coming to South Carolina, where the first Democratic primary will be, and talking about how much he loves black folks and how much he needs us. You got to tell me now, not then.
Look at Eugene, and here's the whole deal, because I know somebody's watching who's saying, well, they got the press briefing. Folks need to understand how much it costs to be a part of the White House press corps, to have somebody who's a White House, correspondent. The reality is nearly all black-owned media can't afford that. But again, this president should be doing, I don't care if it's off the record, he should be doing sit down with black-owned media, with black journalists, but black-owned media especially. And understand, the two largest and most important constituents for Democrats, black women and black men. And I'm saying, if you're going to sit with most of these white anchors for a State of the Union luncheon, you should be sitting down with black-owned media and not just one outlet. Eugene?
Yeah. Sorry, then you're coming to me. Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, look, the thing is this, without black folk, Democrats don't have a base. They don't have, they're going to get obliterated by Republicans up and down the ballot, every single jurisdiction. And the thing is this, right? It's black-owned media that's going to speak to black issues, to black people. I tell folk all the time, you got to talk to people in their language and on the terms that they set and how they receive things. And that's what makes black-owned media special to the black audience, because it's the telling of our story, our history, our issues, our current events, from our perspective, with the accountability to us, an actual black audience. And so the White House has an absolute responsibility to sit down with black-owned media, with black anchors that are responsible to a black audience. Because at the end of the day, a year from now, when the primaries are underway and they're trying to build out infrastructure to turn out black voters in a general election downstream, they're going to want the help and support of black media. And when engaged black media, I'm sorry, you need to make those deposits in equity now so you can make the withdrawals later.
And to me, it's very simple. Again, we are 2 years in. He has not done that, and he needs to do it. The COVID is not an excuse anymore. And so I dare say, look, the folks over there, pay the hell attention. Do it. And so I'm definitely gonna hit Susan Rice and hit Keisha Lance Bottoms and hit Karine Jean-Pierre. But that's what they need to be doing. And again, if the White House is saying, oh, you're upset because you didn't get invited on Tuesday, you damn right. Because the reality is we put in the work every single day. And if the Trump people could invite me 3 times, the Biden people damn sure know how to find me. And I'm saying other black folks should be in the room as well, and not just traditional television outlets, people with real platforms who speak to black people.
Yes, that's correct. And, I've worked on several presidential campaigns, so I have strong opinions here. I'm sure you saw my face when you said that has not taken place as of yet. And we are very close to another election cycle. So I agree with you. There absolutely should be an opportunity for you all to sit down with them. And like you said, even if it's off the record, engaging us at the last minute is not an option. Our electorate, our voice is very important. We sway elections, and when we turn out, our folks win. And so it's important that we are engaged early on. People are tired of being.
I think Tamia froze there. Sorry. I got to go. So let's get our technology fixed. And we'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, a relationship that we have to have. We're often afraid of it and don't like to talk about it. That's right, we're talking about our relationship with money. And here's the thing, our relationship with money oftentimes determines whether we have it or not.
The truth is you cannot change what you will not acknowledge.
Balancing your relationship with your pocketbook. That's next on A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, here at Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm BB Winans.
Hi, I'm Kim Burrell.
Hi, I'm Carl Payne.
Hey, everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble.
All right, we all know the racial wealth gap has millions of families of color disproportionately disadvantaged, and so my next guest is trying to help with that. Howard University, Virginia Union University alumni Ruby Taylor has created Play, Win, Invest, the first web-based game created by a Black woman to give players vital knowledge to help grow their wealth and learn to invest with big prizes every single week. Ruby joins us from Baltimore. Ruby, glad to have you on the show. So, all right, so explain this game, Ruby. What's the deal?
So the game is to help us begin to talk about building generational wealth. We have to look at the long game. So what Play, Win, Invest does, we have 5 amazing rounds because my mother said so. The first round is career. What type of job will you have? After that, it is investments. Now that you have money, what are you going to do with it? After investments, it is savings. Now, after savings, it is assets. What do you own? And our last round is life events, because life happens. And we have insurance because we need to protect whatever wealth we will be gaining. So it is a discussion piece for us to begin to look at various careers and different ways for us to build generational wealth.
Yeah, so what you're laying out here is trying to get people to understand that wealth is not built solely by having a job and then tucking some money away. It's then what you do with the money that you make, but also the decisions that you make. Yes. I remember when I was at the Houston Defender, I had a brother who was a graphic designer, young brother, and he had a Ford Explorer. So clean Ford Explorer, all good, and then all of a sudden he gets a raise. Well, he goes out and buys a Ford Expedition. And 6 months later, he's complaining about, again, the note. And I said, wait a minute, dude, it's you and your girlfriend. Y'all the only two riding in a Ford Explorer. Why in the hell did you go out and buy you a larger SUV for no reason at all? Now you complaining because the payments are kicking your ass. That was a perfect example of how to screw yourself when you got a raise on the job.
Yes, because we need to begin to talk about more than just cars and clothes as well as trips. I do stutter, but I don't allow that to stop me. So anywho, right, we need to begin to talk about how are we making our money grow. A new car, that is not making your money grow. Putting your money in, investments, bonds, that is making your money grow.
In fact, Ruby, I had somebody tell me they said, man, how long you had this Navigator? I said, in November, it'll be 15 years. Now, when I bought it, I went in, and they said, are we financing? Nope. They said, we leasing? Nope. I said, what are we doing? I said, we're going to negotiate. I'll be back in 15 minutes with a cashier's check. So the reality is, I ain't had a car note in 14 and a half years. Car does fine. My ego is perfectly fine. I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. And I ain't trying to drive a new car or whatever. And in fact, when we got the Sprinter for the show, about a month in, it hit me. I said, man, this is the first Mercedes I own. And I told somebody the story. I said, but see, the difference is, for me, it was a total write-off. And so for you, with your game, you're trying to get people to think differently about money and assets, so then we understand what to actually do with it.
Yes. In the game, we show a 1-year value and then a 30-year value, because oftentimes we are not aware we will be making minimum $1 million over a lifetime. And what are we doing with that money? So the game shows what you can do with your money, so that we can close the racial wealth gap and live the amazing life we so deserve.
Absolutely. I see questions from our panel. Tania, you're first.
Yeah, so one, I really do love this, being able to empower our people to support themselves and figure out ways to strategize with their wealth. What are some of the basic practices that we can employ in our lives to be able to get this as a regular habit?
Right. First thing first, right? I don't believe in budgets. Budgets are focused on paying bills, right? So I like to focus on directing my money. Where am I going to direct my money to make my money grow for not me, but for the generations to come? And so direct your money towards your bills, but also direct your money towards making your money grow. And investments are the best way to make that happen. A lottery ticket? No. Nowadays, you can buy fractional shares. You only need $1 to basically begin investing. No amount is too small, and no amount is too big. So how are you directing your money to make it grow for the next generation? So that's the first step. Mm-hmm. But really the first step is my little mantra, right? I deserve joy and wealth. You deserve joy and wealth. We all deserve joy and wealth. We have to believe that truth. And once we believe that, we will begin to make our money work for us through long-term investing. I do not believe in trading. I believe in buy and hold.
Don't have much time. Robert, real quick, what's your question?
One, as somebody who also has a speech impediment, I commend you so much. I understand the struggles in speech therapy from kindergarten until 10th grade, so I understand the fight and commend you on that. How much do you how much attention do you pay to side hustles? Me and my wife both have full-time jobs, but we also have our t-shirt business on the side. How much important is it for people to have multiple streams of income?
Yes.
Eugene, real quick, go.
You have to have multiple streams of income to be able to grow wealth. And having a business is vital because you get many tax benefits for being a legit business owner. So yes, I do believe in multiple streams of income, and you had to go with the hard word for like a stutterer, streams and all of that. But yes,
Eugene, real quick, Eugene, what you got?
Sorry, I can barely hear you guys. I was just gonna ask, where can we find the game?
Where can we find the game?
You go to playwininvest.com. Playwininvest.com.
All right, Ruby Taylor, we appreciate it. Playwininvest.com. Thank you so very much. Show the graphic again where you can follow her on Instagram to get more information as well. Ruby, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Take care.
Roland. Thank you.
You take care. Folks, that is it for us. Let me thank Tamia, let me thank Crystal, Eugene, and Robert as well for being on the panel today. Folks, support us is what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone. First of all, you watch it on YouTube, hit the damn like button. We should be over 1,000 likes right now. I should have to be asking y'all this here. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Send us check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose their minds. That money goes right back into the show, y'all. And so order through the bookstores, Target, Books A Million, Bookshop Chapters, also download it on Audible. And of course, watch us on Amazon News. You can pull it out. We have a 24-hour streaming channel on Amazon News, and we got some great announcements coming up on some new platforms we on as well. I'll see y'all tomorrow, folks, on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.